on the West End. It's not really a crowded place. The roads are narrow, but it's relatively safe as far as traffic goes. I guess because it's like so windy, you're forced to slow down, and also there are just not a lot of cars there. I bike here, I run here as well, and I like it a little bit better than the beach in the sense of there just not being that many cars passing and driving towards you. It's La Mirage Hotel. That's the sister property to Shirella Inn. Both great small properties, locally owned. It seems like I'm driving fast, but I don't think I'm driving fast. These properties are just like whizzing by. There's Ivan's, otherwise known as Catch a Falling Star. Again, one of my favorite restaurants, I would say, too. Highly recommend them. They do really good stuff, great service and great food. Coming up here on the right, this is the world famous Rick's Cafe, where you can do cliff jumping if you are brave enough, but it's definitely, I would say, the most popular place, bar in Negril, place to go in Negril. LTU, that's a popular expat bar. And they do their famous Halloween party every October as well. I've never been, but I hear stories. I hear it's a lot of fun. Little girl saying hello. Right, we are going deeper into the West End. We're almost in deep West End, but not quite there yet. Coming up on the right is the Caves, which is known as a very exclusive property. A lot of celebrities have been there and stayed there before. I actually went there for dinner the other day, which was very nice, good food. We had dinner in the Cave. And this is our famous lighthouse. Unfortunately, it has been privatized, so from what I understand, there's no more tours to the lighthouse, which is unfortunate. I've never been. It's just like one of those things you just take for granted. You're like, oh, you'll get there sometime, and then next thing you know, somebody buys it and you can't go in. But it's still an important part of Negril nonetheless. Then on the right is Whoopi's, which was just a famous chill-out spot back in the day, particularly during the spring break heyday in the late 90s, early 2000s. Now you could either go right or go left, and we're going to go right. Down to the left is the Negril laundromat, and then right here, I guess this officially starts the Deep West End. And I like the Deep West End. It's a very different feel from even the West End, the regular West End, if you will, and a very different feel more so from the beach road. That's a villa there. I forget the name of it, but we've done a few events there for guests at Travelers. Beautiful villa. I want to say, like, some of the most beautiful properties are on the West End, but also the Deep West. Some of the most beautiful properties in Negril. This is the Cliff Hotel on the right side. I think this is the most beautiful property in Negril. Honestly, like, it's just gorgeous. I was there for dinner the other day, a few weeks ago, as a matter of fact. But really beautiful property. And for whatever reason, every time I've been there, there's like nobody there. But I think they focus more on groups than anything else. But I really don't know their business model. But great hotel, great for dinner as well. Highly recommend them as well. Service is great as well. On top of their cuisine. So these roads are not the best, and you can imagine biking here. So you've got to take it easy. But as you can see, a little glimpse on the right side of your screen, the views here are just amazing, and I've seen some of the most beautiful sunsets back here. And I've said this on the channel before. I think this is a great place to invest now, especially like I know there's a lot of people who want sea view or ocean front, and to get that on the Negril Beach Road is going to be very, very expensive. You know, we're probably talking, at least at this time, what I understand, like depending on the property, $1 million to $1.5 million US per acre. And that might be on the conservative side, to be honest. And again, depending on where it is and what property. Whereas here, you know, I wish I could speak to what you'd pay per acre here, but it's significantly less. It's a lot less developed. But as you'll see as we drive through here, there is a lot of development happening, at least more activity than I've ever seen in recent times. And the types of development that I'm seeing here is mostly villas. And to me, this is like the perfect location, perfect row, if you will, for villas. Treasure Beach has a very similar setup, and there's a part of Treasure Beach where it's just villa after villa after villa after villa. And you're already having elements of this along this deep West End road here. And I think it's perfect, right on the water, just amazing views. You know, I wish we could have got out and shown you, but if you can just imagine, just past these gates, these houses, on the other side, you have just endless views of the sea. And depending on how deep you go, you can actually see the coastline, like looking left and right as you go out to the water. So this is an example of a recently built villa. I don't know the name of it, I don't know the owner, but it's very beautiful. I've seen pictures on Facebook as well. I was actually flying my drone for this property here on the left, somewhere west. We're doing a video for them and working with the owner to help her sell that property. But when I was looking at the drone and looking at that property, it's just really beautifully built, super modern. And again, to me, this is like the perfect location to do accommodations just like that. Or maybe not accommodations, maybe you want to build your dream home. I think this is the perfect place to do it. You're really by yourself, and we're about a little over 17 minutes in. I would say if there is a negative to being back here, it's that it'll take you about 15 to 20 minutes from downtown to get here. But some people like that. Some people love that, as a matter of fact. And just something to take into consideration. Coming up here on the right, this is actually a hotel that just never got off the ground. Obviously, it got off the ground, so to speak, but just never opened, really, for whatever reason. I think whoever did this had great vision. I think this was an excellent location to put a hotel. And I think it was also, in a sense, before its time. But that hotel is actually for sale, and it's being sold by actually one of our real estate experts, St. Alban Clark. So if you are interested, let me know if you want to find out a little bit more information on that property. We can St. Alban can give you that information. So let me know. Shoot me a DM on Instagram at Throp, THROP, or you can shoot me an email at Throp, THROP, at thropmedia.com. I always like driving down this road. It's like super smooth, and then as we make a right here, I always imagine like kids in high school doing drag racing down here, but they don't do that here, and don't do that. I'm not recommending that at all. But we are, again, deep West End. Beautiful views on, at least here, you know, I like this. And to the left, you have like the mountains, and then deep into the right, you have this sea, just to give you a little heads up on orientation. Hope you guys are enjoying the tour so far. If you are, let me know. Put it in the comment section. If you have a favorite part, let me know. You can also put that in the comment section. And if you're interested in any of the properties that I've mentioned and want more information, of course, no commitments by any means, but it's always good to gather information as it relates to investing or understanding the dynamics of a community or an area as it relates to real estate. So coming up here on your right is Jackie's on the Reef, which is another one of my absolute favorite spa massage places to go to. This is a super zen place. If this, you want to find a place that you need to recalibrate, adjust your mind, like that is the place. And Jackie is just an amazing person, and if you know her, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And here on both sides of the road, this is West Ender Inn, another great property on the West End. They have both sides of the road, so you have sea access on the right here as the camera pans over there. Beautiful views on those buildings there, looking out to the sea. And this is west, right? So this is deep west. So you can imagine what the sunsets look like from these properties. They are absolutely gorgeous. I think the best in the world. And I do not apologize for that at all. I've seen sunsets from all over the world, and I have yet to see one that really beats Negril, especially deep west. And so you can go that road, and you're basically heading south at that point. I think we're actually heading south now. Yeah, we are heading south at this point. Southeast, I should say. And that'll take you to like Little London. And then if you've been paying attention on the channel, when we talk about the Little Bay development, that's also in that direction, like Jam West Little Bay. But that's literally you're on the coast going down there. But it's not a road. You'd have to, I don't know how you do it, but from what I heard that apparently they're building a road right there to connect Deep West End and that. So who knows? This is Honeycomb Ave here on the right. There are houses that people have bought the land and built there. Close family friend used to live there, couple, but they unfortunately they passed away. But my dad and his friends, they used to go there all the time to play dominoes, and great place to watch the sunset. And those were just some really, really good times back in the day. So now I would say we're kind of heading back to civilization, if you will. Again, not the greatest of roads here, so we're just taking our time. I don't have a truck, I have a car that's not the best for traversing these potholes, but it works. But yeah, so we're gonna be basically heading back to downtown Negril at this point, as soon as we get up this hill and around the bend. And this is the first, I would say, driving tour that we will be doing, but we'll do this again. We'll do another one for Negril because we only covered the West End, and then we have like the whole beach road. And I would even say Nampro Road would be, it's not that long, but there's a lot to talk about with Nampro Road, especially when it comes to development and when it comes to understanding the future of Negril. That is Mr. Hogg's house. This is what is known as Hog Heaven, and this is owned by a very prominent Negril family, the Hoggs. And if you want a piece of property back here, if you're interested in, you'll have to go through the Hoggs, and that's I believe that's my dad's friend that I was mentioning before. That's who he bought his property from. As we're driving, just trying to remind you guys about Throp-X and it's coming up in November. And if you want to learn more about investing in Jamaica in general and real estate, like this is definitely the conference for you. And it continues to be just a high level of interest in investing in Jamaica, and particularly buying land and building homes in Jamaica. And of course, I'm super, super biased, so I will always, not always, but I will always put Negril first and show you and just because I know the most about this area, and I will show you what there is to offer. And if I don't know, I will put you in touch with people and experts who know more about this. But tickets are for sale on Throp-X.com, www.Throp-X.com, and it's going to be an awesome event. If you know Amashika Lauren, who is the host last year, she is confirmed for being the host this year. She's absolutely amazing, super, super talented. She's doing some really awesome stuff in her own career, and she's just one of those people that in my opinion, that are just going to just blow up at some point in time. And I feel very fortunate and special to have her as part of the Throp-X team, and in a real sense being the face of it. And I know she's gonna kill it. She killed it last year. She's excited, and so am I. Extremely, extremely excited. We are moving towards downtown Negril. I don't know the names of these little communities. I believe we're moving into Good Hope, and I know somebody's gonna kill me in the comments and say, no, it's such and such. But yeah, let me know. Like I said, I like riding my bike through here in the morning. As you can see, there's almost no traffic at all. Only thing you gotta worry about is these dogs. I don't know why. There's always this group of dogs right here at this hill. They just come after me. The same hill that we're going up. I don't know where that road leads, but I've never been up there. But they always come at you on an uphill where you can't ride away from them. But always get away. Never had any issues. Just a little quick few second chase, and then they run out of breath, and I usually outride them. At least I have outridden them 100% of the time so far. Hopefully I can continue my streak. Hope you guys are enjoying the tour so far. And if there is an area that you want to see me tour or do something similar to this, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to. Perhaps we can do one to Sav and maybe to Montego Bay. I don't know if you like these kind of things. If there's maybe a topic that we want to cover, I can kind of do it while we take a little drive together. But yeah, let me know what you all think about this. But I think this is a good break for the live stream as well. So at least you're getting a bit of an education at the same time while I'm able to take a break. I'm sure I'm probably eating something right now while you all are watching this. I don't know what I'm talking about here in the car, but I hope it's something interesting. I can't really hear. Hey there, Throp here. I wanted to interrupt just for a minute to tell you about my family's hotel, Travelers Beach Resort. We are a 60-room Jamaican-owned and operated hotel located on the world-famous 7-mile white sand beach of Negril, Jamaica. My father started this property back in '94, and myself and my brothers Winfield and Wingate took over in 2011 after my father retired. Recently, we've made some upgrades to the property, particularly to our rooms. they've been redesigned and reimagined with comfort and style at the forefront. The textures, the light, the layout, each space was designed with intention, balancing modern touches with the familiar spirit of travelers. Our deluxe rooms and suites, which you are seeing on your screen now, have gone through an incredible transformation. We now have 2-bedroom suites available for your accommodations next time you're in Negril. We're especially proud of our gym. It's designed to give you a high-quality workout experience with premium equipment, plenty of space, and an energizing atmosphere. Our lounge has become one of the more popular public spaces, perfect for a family game night or catching the big game. Of course, our restaurant and bar is located right on the beach, so you can enjoy the most beautiful sunsets in the world. We look forward to welcoming you home. For more information, please visit www.tbr.travel.
Welcome home.
This podcast is supported by Discovery Water. Whether I'm working or training, I reach for Discovery Water. 100% premium Jamaican spring water. Bottled in glass, no plastic, no gimmicks. Refill, not landfill. Just clean, natural hydration from right here on the island. Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome back to another live stream. Thank you for joining me here. Hope you are hearing and seeing me loud and clear. Always a pleasure to do these every week as much as I can. We actually have 3 live streams for you this week, which I'm excited to talk about. We have today, obviously. Then on Tuesday, we have Ross IV. And then on Thursday, we have, I'm really excited for this one. We have Dr. Christine Frey Atkin, who is a nutritionist, and we're going to be talking about sugar and also creatine, which has been trending. I totally forgot. We got a whole week of streams for you that I'm super, super excited about. I'll talk about them a little bit more later in this stream. But of course, to start with, I want to hear where you all are coming in from, what city, what state, what country. I always love starting off that way. And we got a kind of chill stream today. Going to be talking a little bit about, maybe a lot of it about the Jamaican Diaspora, talking about Throp-X NYC Connect, and I guess we could touch on a little bit on London Connect as well. Of course, we're going to talk about Throp-X happening in less than 3 months now, which is crazy, less than 90 days to go. And we'll be doing this is the 5th year. This will be the 6th staging of Throp-X, which is insane. Throp-X 2026. And I think this is going to be for sure the biggest one that we've ever had. May was the biggest one we ever had up to that point. But, November is the original date. May was the makeup from Hurricane Melissa. And we just continue to get better at doing what we're doing. And I think in many ways, we're just riding the momentum and trajectory that Jamaica currently finds itself on. And the timing of all of this just couldn't be better. I couldn't have designed it any better myself. And the fact that you all are here and on this live stream and participating in the way that you all have, I think says a lot about what you think about Jamaica, and also hopefully the confidence that you have in Jamaica and where things are going and what's happening in the country. So yeah, let me again hear where you guys are coming from, what city, what state, what country. I'll get to the comments real quick, and then we can start the show, at least the subject that we have at hand, which is talking about many of you in the audience, which is the Jamaican Diaspora. Melanie, what's happening? Thanks for joining. Donna, what's happening? Good morning, Throp and Thropper is watching from Ottawa, Canada. Please remember to hit the like button on the way in. Yes, it does help a lot. And I don't know when the last time is. I have to pat myself on the back. I don't know when the last time is that I actually started on time. We started at 12 p.m., the designated time. I think it's speaking a lot to the team, we are growing our team here at Throp Media. At some point, you guys will meet them. If you've been to Throp-X, you have met some of them, but we have some new hires, which is exciting, and just kind of taking the pressure off of me, particularly during the week. And it allows me to prepare set up in a much more efficient and better way for Sundays. So kudos to them for making this happen and starting on time. Never tire of the drive-through videos. Okay, thank you. I'm glad you appreciate it. We've been talking about doing some new ones because even that video that you saw of the West End, it's been redone. They've done a fantastic job. I don't know when we're going to shoot that. I also think a really important one to do coming off of Hurricane Melissa is going to Sav and then going to even Waterworks. I think that's a very, very important drive-through to do, just so, we showed the bad part, in the sense of like during a bad time. I think it's also important to show the resilience and the comeback of those towns and the city of Sav-la-Mar as well. And it's I think you all will find it interesting, especially those who have not been back to Jamaica post Melissa. And I was just seeing in a comment on Instagram, somebody was saying that they were asking randomly, like, what happened to Jamaica? I hope everything's okay. The media has just left us hanging and hasn't given us any updates on what's going on in Jamaica. So it's kind of where my mind is at. Buffalo Soldier, good to see you. Thanks for coming on. Donna asks, Throp, will you be doing a walkthrough video of the renovated superior rooms when done? Yes. I don't know why I hesitated, because I was just thinking we completed it, which is an interesting time for us to be in, me and my brothers, management, the team, because we've been even in a small way, we've been doing construction and upgrading projects, I want to say, for the last 3 years, maybe 4 years. We've been just continuously working on the hotel and upgrading all of our rooms. And now we're just putting a pause on all of it because we've gotten through every single room category, as you just saw in the little commercial, that minute and a half commercial that we just showed before starting the stream. And it's exciting, and it's exciting time for us as a team to just really allow us to focus on the operations, focus on you all as guests who we find and have just the privilege of serving you and welcoming you to our hotel. And now we have, again, all of our room upgrades, all of our room categories upgraded. And now we just kind of just refining the machine as we move forward. Donna says, making ackee and saltfish spring rolls. Oh, wow. And sorrel and lemon agua fresca drink for family. Get together this evening. Love introducing the Jamaican cuisine to everyone. Awesome. What a great ambassador you are. TMC says, happy Sunday, everyone. Big up from Montreal. Throp, I went to the Throp-X website to book one of the single day passes. Unfortunately, no link to purchase. How can I purchase a ticket? So we should, thank you for that. I feel like we should have, I don't know if it was you or somebody else. Nope, still not up. So we're working on that. Thank you for that. I'll try to get that up today, as a matter of fact, but very much so, single day passes are available for Throp-X. You don't have to come for the whole thing, even though we would love for you to be there. I know that was a question that somebody had asked me at the Throp-X NYC Connect. Can you purchase a single day pass? And you can. And we'll go through some Throp-X stuff a little bit later as well. Donna Bryce says, the video yesterday had some great information. Yeah, I would say I'm going to put that in the comment section here. I thought that was one of just a really great breakdown of doing construction in Jamaica. And I'm just going to put it in the comment section there for your convenience. I'll try to remember to throw it into the description below for the people watching this on the replay. And it answers a lot of frequently asked questions in regards to doing construction in Jamaica, and also developments in Jamaica, why there are so many unfinished structures in Jamaica. And a lot of times, this happens a lot because I feel, at least let's speak to the video, that a lot of steps are skipped when people are building their dream homes, let's say. So let's stick with dream homes, for example, to start, and then we can move to the developments. And so steps being skipped, I think one of the most common steps being skipped, and I say this all the time, is that people try to save money by cutting back on the experts, right? And one of them, generally most cut back on expert, is the quantity surveyor. And I personally feel, especially if you're going to be doing construction from abroad, meaning that you're not going to be here through the entirety of the construction phase. And I used to very much, and say this all the time, if you've been watching me for a while, you've heard me say this before. If you're going to do a construction project, particularly if you're going to be building your home, do not even allow a hammer to be lifted without your presence being there, because so much so was the norm. And I'm sure either you have been through this yourself, or somebody has been through a similar situation where you entrust a contractor of sorts, or maybe even a project manager of sorts, and this person could be a family member, a close friend, an uncle, auntie, etc., or maybe even a quote unquote full-on professional. And you agree on a timeline, you agree on a budget, you agree obviously on what the place is going to look like. And as you're going through this process of building your home, while you're sending money from the United States, UK, Canada, South America, wherever you are, there is this continuous and never-ending need for material or resources that is beyond the scope of the agreement that you originally had. And at first, you're trying to be understanding, and then eventually you understand is you're being hustled, right? And the material that you ordered from the hardware to the construction site all of a sudden is not showing up, and you need more lumber and you need more of this. And we've all heard these nightmare scenarios and nightmare stories. And so working with these non-professionals, or even your quote unquote friends and family, a lot of times that's what happens. But if you're going to go that route, let's say you're going to have this person manage your person or people manage your project, it's like, man, you really, really want to be there. But if that's not a scenario for you, then working with somebody, a professional that has your back, like a quantity surveyor, and even if you are going to be here, I suggest that you do have this person on your team. What a quantity surveyor does is going to have your back mathematically and financially, and there are going to be certain thresholds in the project timeline that the contractor will have to meet based on the previously established agreements, where money will be released, and they will come in and inspect and ensure that the project has reached a certain level, or that material that was bought, that was promised to be, to deck the roof or to finish the room or the bathroom or whatever have you, that it was actually done. And very, very, very important to have this person. And I understand sometimes in the budget, that's not accounted for. That person is not accounted for. And then it isn't until, and this is kind of where the discussion was going, it's only until after these very hard and financially painful lessons are learned, that you call in these experts, the quantity surveyor and whoever have you, to come in and fix the problem and to adjust it. Where if you had worked with them in the first place, they would have saved you tons and tons of money. And sometimes you don't know. And hopefully being in this live stream and listening to the podcast, the experts that we have on this channel, that you will avoid this, and that will not be the scenario for you in whatever capacity that you're looking to come into the real estate market here in Jamaica. So that's essentially what it's about. And they also talked about just developments and what to look for in developments and why certain developments fail. And I know Hugo was going into that quite a bit. And then they were also talking about this foam material that has been in Jamaica for over 20 years. I didn't know that until Throp-X in May. And it seems like a very viable building material for Jamaica, and being hurricane proof up to 300 miles per hour winds, and then also earthquake proof. I don't remember what exactly the measurement with that was, but it's also a very efficient type of material. And many houses in Jamaica that have gone through Hurricane Melissa, built with this material, has done perfectly okay. So, very, very interesting conversation to say the least. Very, very interesting conversation to say the least. All right, let's keep rolling here. Georgina, what's going on? Nice to see you as always. Sunday blessings to everyone. Yolanda Chambers, good afternoon from Los Angeles. I love this. Thanks for joining, Yolanda. I appreciate you. Bloomberg Marks, why not speak about the Jamaicans who got their homes demolished? We can. I have no problem speaking about that at all. I know I can touch on it a little bit now. I don't know a ton about it. The two things that I do know about it is that this was done, like maybe it's just one thing. And so open to having a discussion about it. So what I understand is that these homes there were people living on this land that did not belong to them. And the owner of the land has asked them to move off the land, and they've been there for quite, I think, decades, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on these time frames, but I know it has been. This is not something that happened yesterday, so to speak, or this week. This has been in court for quite some time, and it's a really unfortunate situation. And it's not. And the way I look at it, this is like the topic that's hot now, of course, and it's a very sad situation. There are homes, there are children who have been displaced, but it's like, to me, the way that this has to be looked at, it has to be looked at two ways, right? And Jamaica, I mean, I always say like a lot of this stuff and the challenges that Jamaica has, a lot of it does go back to slavery, right? And we as a country, we would like to move into a more modern and sophisticated area and be a country of rules and regulation. And I hope that everybody who's on this live stream feels that way and wants that type of reality and society for our country, right? And we want it to be, and it should be a situation where if you, your family, or your family member purchases a piece of land, that you in fact you knowingly have a right to this, and you know that somebody cannot come along and take it, government and otherwise, eminent domain aside, right? And so that should give you, and if absolutely the people who are thinking about moving here, investing in Jamaica, are buying a piece of land, are buying a piece of property, our home, you have to have that confidence, right? You have to have that confidence that the state is going to recognize that this is your property and protect you and protect your family's rights to that. Now, going back, and then and bringing this back to my slavery argument here, is that we were, of course, we were a colonized nation, and this country was just given to us, and in a sense, like given to us. I know I don't mean to be like facetious or just kind of flippant about it, but Jamaica is a very new country, and essentially a poor country that I personally believe is moving towards being a prosperous country, and it isn't necessarily equitable across the table. And I don't know the history of obviously these families or anything like that, but from what again, from the little that I know and what I understand, that the land, these families that are being displaced, the land did not in fact belong to them, and they were squatting on that land for a number of years. And now it's like, all right, now what do we do, right? And to me, from a humanitarian standpoint, do we leave them? Like, I don't think so. I don't think we should. I don't think we should do that. And again, this is a problem not just in this situation, but right across the country. And I've spoken about this particularly here in Negril. I mean, there is just so much of it. It's insane. It's insane here in Negril. And a lot of it is a lot of these families who've been on these lands for decades are on lands that don't belong to them. And
It's living in prime real estate. And there is plans for the very land that these families are living on and have been living on for decades to be developed. And my question is, it's like, how are they going to be not removed, but how are they going to be made whole, right? And they're and this situation is very different here in Negril because this is not private property. This is government land that is going to be developed by the government. And so it's going, and this is, I'm particularly, I want to be clear, I'm referring to the urban center that is being, that has been scheduled to be, to be built here in Negril. Again, on prime Negril real estate. I mean, I would say it's secondary to being on the beach. That's how prime in terms of its location is. And so I don't know what that strategy is going to be. All I've been saying is like they have to be moved. Those families have to be moved, in my opinion, to a much better situation. Hopefully, it's a situation that they have the ability to build wealth for their family in owning a piece of land and give them a path. And I don't think it's a good idea to just give them a piece of land or to give them a home. To me, there should be buy-in into it. And the buy-in doesn't have to be like this $1 million place, so to speak. It could be what they can afford to pay so they feel as if they've earned it, and they should. And so, and I think from a societal level, it's such a great strategy because now they are landowners, now they are homeowners, and they feel a part of the formalized economy because they're paying into it. They have a title. And then eventually, if they further their knowledge in understanding the financial markets and how loans work, they can borrow against it and maybe even buy another piece of land and pass on to their children or send their kids, whatever they decide to do. But nonetheless, I think the greater good here, and this is not like 1 or 10 families. This is at the very least hundreds. I could talk for specifically for Negril. And so now you have potentially you will have hundreds of people who are not necessarily part of the formal society in land ownership and title ownership here in Negril right now currently. And they are, and a lot of these families, in my opinion and my experience, they're good families. And some of our NEET students' families are in these situations, and they're not bad people. They work at these hotels, but they've been, in one way or another, they've been given not the best hand in the world, right? And so again, I think that from a strategic and even selfish level, it behooves us as a society and even the government to work through a strategy in which they become part of the formalized economy and formalized society, in giving them a path to land ownership, a path to home ownership. And again, I don't have a clue in terms of like how that could work. I'm just kind of giving like a general concept. And I'm sure there are other places, maybe even here in Jamaica, but even around the world, where programs of this nature, strategies of this nature have worked and are successful. But again, going back to this situation, it's very different because this is a privatized situation. And I know I saw like the government was being blamed for this. And it's just like, man, let's make sense here. With like, how can that be? Somebody privately owns a piece of land and then somebody's been squatting on it, and then you're asking them to leave. We have a very similar situation here in Westmoreland. I've talked about it before with Little Bay and this billionaire, and we won't go through it, but private land ownership on prime real estate property here in Westmoreland, and that dispute has been going on for quite some time. So with these folks, again, with this privatized situation, I do hope that from what I last read, the government is doing and working on some way to assist them. Again, I can't see, and unless somebody educates me otherwise, I can't see how this is the government's fault. and this is a private sector situation, but they are stepping in to assist these families. All right, so Bloomberg RX, we talked about it. I'm always willing to talk about whatever we need to. Spur Tree Home Away Villas. Happy Sunday, Throp. It was a pleasure to meet you down by Negril last week. Saturday, this is Oro from the Bronx, also Airbnb owner in Manchester, Spur Tree Home Away Villas. I definitely think that if you want to get anything done and get it done the right way, you need to be on the ground, because even the so-called professionals at times screw you over. So I would say make sure that you know how to drive one, and you can go to the different hardware to price your stuff, and then make sure you are purchasing your stuff yourself. You seem like you're talking from experience there, man. And yes, very, very nice to meet you on Saturday last week in New York City. Appreciate you coming out. But yes, you hit it on the head. Absolutely. If you're doing construction here and you have the time, you're able to stay here, and it's your project, trust me, it's worth your time. It's worth your time, because you're going to be going through, you could be going through some serious headaches. And it could be something that you're hung up on for years and years and years. And this is supposed to be this, I don't know, very happy moment in your life, building your dream home, or maybe you're building a hotel or a villa, and it's supposed to be this income generating asset, and you just have this big headache. So I think a lot of this can be avoided with some of the advice that you're given right there. Anik, what's going on? Hello, Throp and Throppers. Happy Sunday from Montreal. Cruising with Conan, praying we're down in time for November's Throp-X. I sent an email, but you are still looking for volunteer help. I will let you know. We do have volunteers. I don't know how many more we need. We always give the volunteers who volunteered before first right of refusal. So as we go into September, I will let you know, Conan, what the situation is with volunteers and options for that. But would love to see you either way in November for Throp-X. Samuel says emotional and law doesn't work together. Law is simply the law. Yes, I agreed. But I see that they are in this situation. Of course, I find that the time that we're living in is what's happening. We're having a little bit of a discussion along these lines yesterday on the Throppers think tank. But I think the political climate in the U.S. is definitely bleeding over here in Jamaica, and same very similar tactics are being brought into our political system here. And anytime there's an opportunity to trend hop or to hop onto something that will make the other party look bad, no matter how good that they're doing, I'm just like, man, this is just so silly. So silly. But I guess at the end of the day, it's politics, and people are going to hop on and do things that will work in their favor, even if it just doesn't make any sense. But we'll leave that there. Joe says, hey, everyone. Joe from Montreal, Canada. Hope you're doing well. Bernadette, do they not have squatters' rights under British law? So this has come up a couple of times so I interviewed, oh my gosh, Dawn Gray, attorney at law, Dawn Gray. And then also she was a presenter at Throp-X a few years ago, and squatters' rights came up, and she was just like, what is squatters' rights? And so I personally can't speak and she went through the whole thing about how it doesn't exist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not going to speak to that. I'm not a lawyer, but I know there is somehow some sort of squatters' rights, but in these situations, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it exists, and perhaps it was a strategy. I don't know. I really, really don't know if that was the intention of the people who are on these lands. And again, especially speaking to here in Negril, it doesn't seem so, because I think squatters' rights is 13 years, if I'm not mistaken, 12 or 13 years from what I understand. And particularly with this government land in Negril, I know families that have been there before I moved to Negril, and that's 20 years ago. Kata, some people are being very hypocritical because they would not allow squatters on their land/property. Agreed. Like if it's your land, there's no way. Again, I would think as a society that we want law and order here. We want law and order, but this is going to be a continuous thing with Jamaica because there are so many. It's just rife throughout Jamaica. It's just rife throughout Jamaica. People being on property that doesn't belong to them, but then you can't just throw them out in the cold, right? And it's a long-term situation. It's a long-term strategy that needs to come up with. You need to come up with. Am I assuming right that they never pay taxes on property? I'm not sure. I can't speak to that. Jamaica says hypocrisy. No one have ever volunteered their land for I'm assuming corporation to live on, but they're against it. Kata B says, I feel that there should be an assessment / analysis of all available lands in Jamaica, along with all the squatters. The government should come up with an agreement for these affected people. Yeah, I know, like Hurricane Melissa, it really exposed this, particularly here in Westmoreland, right? And if I'm understanding this correctly, certain types of aid that was required for building and even getting electricity back up, like you needed proof of ownership that you live there, sort of thing. And a lot of these families don't have that. They don't have a title for their land. And the government came up with a program, I forget what it's called, that is helping families that is like legitimately their family's land, that they've been living there for generations and generations, but they don't have titles for it. Again, this is going back to slavery days. And to me, this sort of proactive movement and strategy is like incredibly important. It's just like, how do we get these folks to get their titles that are rightfully theirs and rightfully should be in their families? Very important, because we want them to be a part of society. We want them to be able to borrow against their land and to create wealth for their kids and grandkids, so on and so forth. So I would need to look into that a little bit more to see where that is. What's going on, Shauna? Happy Sunday, Throppers. Thanks for being here as always, and thank you for being a channel member as well as a Throppers Think Tanker. Kata says the government had nothing to do with this particular incident, strictly private matter, 100%. No doubt about that. Spur Tree. All right. I got a couple comments here. I'm just going to read right through them. The only thing that I didn't like with the removal of the houses, was that they came in and they detained the men of the community. So it shows that they had premeditated how they wanted to do it. I think that they violate those men's rights. So that's the only part I have a problem with. But it has been going on in the court almost 2 decades. Now these 2 people have gotten notice to move, and they did not move. I personally don't have sympathy for people who went to the court system and the court award the owner, NSAIDS. Yes, you can go ahead and take these people off your property. And at the same time, these people still decide to stay on the property and continue to put up structures, and especially brick structures, on something that is not theirs. It was going through from the PNP was in power. They were trying to get the land from the owner, and the owner fought, and the owner was about 3 different times that the government took him to court, and they have all rights. A lot of folks who are talking about how it is, and it's the kind of different people who want to say if it's their property and you bought your property, and a while and decide that I have the money which I can develop it, and now is the right time for me to develop it, and you decide to do so. What do you need your property? You're telling me I should just give it up. That's not how it works, and I don't agree with that. The landowner did what the landowner did. He was supposed to do in order to be on the legal side of things, but as usual, these people are stubborn. But it's not the government's fault. Absolutely not the government. For I can't see how that could be the government's fault. Absolutely not. I'm just making sure I got all your comments there. Agreed. It's not. I mean, I hope everybody sees that. Even though that they were trying to position it as the government had done this. And again, it's like, put yourself. And I know many people here have family land in Jamaica, are looking to buy land, and if it was your family land, of course you wouldn't want this to. You want to be going through this situation. And as Spurtree saying here, it's been in the courts for 20 years. And it's just like, my goodness, wow, like you're really going to try to steal land. And that is, unfortunately, in Jamaica here, is like one of the, like, when we talk about like the domestic violence in Jamaica, a lot of it comes interfamily, familial violence happens because of these land disputes. And it's like, man, and I know, unfortunately, some personal friends and families that have gotten caught up in this and on the wrong end of the stick, let's say. And it just, people kind of get crazy with these things and just see dollar signs and they see this opportunity. And at the end of the day, like, ultimately they're wrong, right? And it's just like, I wouldn't consider it like a black and white situation, because again, you're displacing families and like, what's the plan? But you're fighting it. The court has told you to come off the land, and you're still fighting, and it comes to a point where it's being demolished. Very, very sad situation. Extremely, extremely sad situation. And I hope these families are placed in a better situation. But man, I mean, again, I hope we are all well-thinking Jamaicans here, and we are for putting in measures that can get these families of like this, into better situations, and not having bulldozers come and tear it down in front of everybody's eyes and turn it into these sorts of spectacles. And again, I'm not sure what their situation is and how the government is helping them. Just says, hi, Throp. I attended Throp-X Conference in 2024 and really enjoyed my experience at Travelers Beach Resort. I'm currently studying culinary arts in Montreal, Canada, and I'm looking for a 1-month culinary internship in Jamaica in January 2027. I would love to do it at Travelers. Who would be the person to contact about this opportunity? Definitely my brother / RGM. But if you can shoot me an email, that's awesome. Congratulations. That is super, super awesome and exciting. If you can shoot me an email, throp@thropmedia.com, and I will put you in touch with them and see what can happen. That would be pretty awesome if that that does happen. Sean says, just arrived. I caught the tail end Cooper Penn situation. I watched a YouTube channel that showed it's a document that it is a private owner that called for the eviction, not the government. Didn't make the call. Thank you for that. This is a delicate and nuanced topic. It for sure is, but it's a Jamaica topic for sure. It's a Jamaica topic in the biggest of ways, and it's gonna, as Jamaica continues to move in this direction of like the formalization and modernization of our society, it's going to go through these teething processes, and I hope the powers that be see it that way and see that this is by far not the last time that this is going to happen. I'm sure there are many, many, many cases in the court system where people who own land are fighting the people who are on it and squatting. And there should be some sort of streamlined process. The fact that this took 20 years, man, That's a long time. That's a long time. And like you nor any of your family members would want to be fighting somebody for 20 years to get off of the land that you own, that you paid for, that your family paid for, your grandfather, grandmother, whoever it was purchased it, and you have the title, etc. Andrew says, hello, all. I'm in South Carolina. I'll be in Negril next week and staying at Travelers Resort. I'm so excited. Awesome. We're looking forward to welcoming you home. Thank you for staying with us. Alan says, interesting observation. Thank you. Rasta Pitney says, the reality is most of these squatters are not willing to relocate to a different parish or town. Jamaica has a lot of land. Relocation will be tricky. It's going to be the trickiest of tricky. I'm telling you, it's going to be so tricky. It's so hard for me to see. I'm thinking again, particularly here in Negril, it's so hard for me to see. I don't know. It has to be a deal. I mean, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm very, very, very wrong. But no matter what, the baseline has to be they're moving to a much better situation that they currently find themselves in, housing situation that they currently find themselves in. That's the only way to start. And yeah, you're gonna need hundreds. It's hundreds of families. That's the way I see it here in Negril. But well said. Good point. Rich, greetings, Throp. Late, so we'll definitely catch the replay. Awesome. No problem. So yeah, I wanted to today's discussion. That was like the preamble, if you will. All right, I'll answer this last question. Copeland Russell said, do you think the same thing will happen in Little Bay? So I don't know if you just missed. Well, I briefly talked about Little Bay. So Little Bay, maybe I'll bring up the map. Little Bay is an interesting situation. And the thing about Little Bay, which is here in Westmoreland, it is beautiful. I've only been there once, probably close to 10 years ago. And there are families that have been living there for decades. And oh, shoot, I didn't even, hold on, let me bring up my screen so you can see what I'm talking about. Damn, I should have found it before. All right, I want to try and find it live. All right, so let's go to Little Bay here. Let me pull out the map. Pull back from the map. So this is Jamaica. Negril is on the westernmost point of Jamaica, which is here on your left. And this is the 7-mile strip of Negril on your left. And then we're going to go down to Nampa Road, which is downtown. And so before we move from there, I just want to show you where the urban center is going. Hold on. So I'll make sure I got my bearings straight. So here, this is, I think you can see my mouse. This is the area. This is all government land. And as you can see, there are many, many homes there. Many homes there. And it goes back. And so the idea, and then this is also across the road here as well. This is all government land for the most part. And there was a presentation made maybe about 2.5 months ago. Wait, let me see if I have it here. There was a presentation made on the urban center, and then also, no, I don't think I have it here. Oh man, that would have been cool. But there's a presentation made on the urban center and what they were going to be doing in downtown Negril. And it's really exciting for us as a community. They are redoing the Negril Beach Park here, our Norman Manley Beach Park, which is where my mouse is. And they're also doing a bridge that is going to go across the Negril River that is going to kind of free up traffic. So say, the way I was reading it, nobody said this, is like, say if you're going to Sav and not necessarily going to the West End, you can go across that bridge and then start heading east on Nampa Road. They are doing the fire station, police station, the Negril Health Clinic will also be redone and be part of that urban center. They're doing mixed use in it being commercial and residential. And so maybe some of those folks can live there as well. I'm not sure, but this is where it's going. Okay, so just wanted to point that out. So now let's go to Little Bay. So Nampo Road, this is Nampo Road going here, going east. And then this is Little Bay right here. And so I can't tell you, this doesn't do it any justice. Like, this is so beautiful. Like, I remember stepping out, I don't know exactly remember, but like on some part of the beach here, and it must be here. Sorry, some part of the beach here. Like, this beach is like beautiful. And then just kind of looking to my left and seeing the coastline, absolutely gorgeous. And I don't know how much of it, but much of this, sorry, let me take down this comment so you guys can see. From what I understand, a lot of it, maybe all of it, is privately owned, and many of the structures and the people living there, they've been living there for decades. And this has been in the newspaper, this has been in the news of trying to remove the folks there. And they're supposed to do this. This was, man, I want to say when I first started talking about this was probably when I first started doing live streams and content on this channel. And they were supposed to be doing this is what the report said, a $5 billion US development here. And again, what I'm telling you, like, this satellite image does not do it justice in how absolutely gorgeous this land is. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful. And it's just this cove that is white sand, as you can see, and this is privately owned for decades. Again, I don't know where it starts and where it ends, but this is from what I understand from those news reports. And I don't know where it is in the courts, but it's been in the courts. And, you know, politicians were there I remember watching it on, I believe it was TVJ at the time. And then also it's been in the newspapers. And so I'm sure this is going to come up and come around again at some point. And I know people, put it this way, I know people that have homes there and have built structures there, and they pay to have construction done there, and they know they've been there for 10 years plus. They don't live there. It's like their second home. These are professional people, and they knew at some point that somebody's going to come and tell them that they're going to have to get off the land. And they said they have no problem. And they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing, like personal friends of mine, to put it that way. And, but they're a different situation because they don't live there. This is more for vacation and more for enjoyment of these undeveloped lands, or this undeveloped part of the coastline, I would say. So that's coming to answer your question. Do I think the same thing will happen in Little Bay? It will. I do believe it will, but I hope in a much more dignified way and much more peaceful way. Not that this was this situation was violent in any way, but I hope it's like the families and the people there are placed in a way, in new homes in a much more dignified way. That's my hope. But it's prime real estate, and there's a lot of, I won't get into it, but I'll leave it at this. There's a lot more lore that goes into the history of this land, and put it that way, if you're from Westmoreland, you're from Negril, you probably are quite familiar with that lore. All right, let's keep going here. Quantity says, according to court records, the government, through the Ministry of Housing, defended the Cooper's Pen squatters against the rightful land ownership for more than 20 years. Yes, somebody had said, was talking about that. I was talking about that earlier. Glenn Johnson, I do not think the 20 years at Cooper's Pen was due because of the squatters. There was a long, drawn-out squabble between the group of owners themselves. I'm trusting. I'm not sure, but okay. Chris Charles says, greetings from Strong Island, Mr. Trop. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you being on. Appreciate you being part of Throp-X think tank yesterday. We had a great discussion, which we're going to start getting into elements of that now. So today's topic really is which kind of we're talking about the Jamaican diaspora and the power of it, as you can tell by the title and also the thumbnail. And I guess the context and inspiration behind this was the meetup that I hosted last week in New York City at Negril Village in Greenwich Village. Sorry, I plugged out my headphones. And this was in Manhattan and extremely well attended. You know, we had over 100 people in and out that attended it. And when I do these meetups, same thing when I did it in London last month, it shows me for sure the power of this Throp community in terms of you know, what we're doing. When I say we, but particularly like you as individuals, but also ultimately the power of the diaspora. And I feel like never before, and maybe this is because of the internet, maybe it's because of my platform, but I don't think there's ever been a time in my history in being in Jamaica where there has been so much peak interest in the Jamaican diaspora moving back to Jamaica in just such a strong and confident way, and also like in a big way. And a lot of the discussions that I had in these last two meetups with different folks, it's like, yeah, people are wanting to move back, some people wanting to retire, some people are going to be working here, and a lot of millennials, as I've said this before, more millennials than I've ever seen before, especially coming to Throp-X, especially kind of being on this platform, coming to these meetup events. And I think that's really, really awesome. But then there are also so many that are looking to start businesses here. And to me, it's like, man, that is like the real impact, right? It's not like, and I don't mean just to make this is not I'm not saying this in a negative way at all, but it's not like a lot of folks are not coming here and to just kick their feet up and just live on the rest of their days on the beach. No, they're coming here and they're looking to make an impact on society through commerce and being incentivized that way, through investments. And I think like this is like one of the most powerful ways that we can move the country forward. And I know some people will look at this and try to frame this as a way of gentrification, and maybe by definition it is. But the way I look at it is you being part of the diaspora, whether you've been living in the United States, UK, Canada, wherever for decades, or maybe you're first generation American and you're like, hey, the United States is not for me. I'm 33, I'm 35, I'm in the prime of my career. And I want to, and I have obviously you have the rights, you have the ability, you have the resources to pick up your life, and you want to live your life here in Jamaica, right? And so you are bringing your experience, your education, and I think like this is so important. And one of the most powerful things that I think the diaspora brings to Jamaica is your standards and your standards of acceptability, and you know what is right from wrong. And what I mean by that, most especially when it comes to fundamental services, right? And we see a lot of times where people are having a certain experience, and I know we've talked about service here in Jamaica, particularly at restaurants, but your level of acceptance of say waiting online at the bank, and I know this is probably one of the easiest subjects to talk about this, but I think it's one of the most essential to talk about, is that you know what you know what your typical banking experience is in wherever you're coming from, and you're going to come here, and especially if it's enough of you, if it's enough of us, you're going to say hey, this is completely unacceptable. There is no way that I should be waiting in line or be at a bank for 2 to 3 hours to do the most fundamental and basic of transactions. There is no way. On top of paying these, I personally think, ridiculous fees. However, what is taking place in the reality here in Jamaica is that the majority of the population has accepted this. This is accepted. It's accepted and expected that you're going to be waiting in a bank for hours and hours at a time. And it's not an in and out situation. And then you can extrapolate this right out. Even as I know people love to talk about the roads and how terrible it is. And I agree with you, potholes, terrible, bad. But if enough of society and enough of well-thinking people and say hey, this is completely unacceptable, we are not going to stand for this, and we want the levels and we want the standards to be raised. I think that is one of the most powerful and most impactful things that a group of people can do. And I'm not saying even we're getting our tiki torches here and going out and marching. I'm just saying collectively we are not accepting that anymore, and it's not being heard enough. And the bank is just one example, but just even thinking of the level or standards of living that we have in terms of housing. And I'm generalizing here, but I think a lot of people who are moving here from abroad and moving back home, they're either going to want to live at a standard that is equal to what they are already living at. 2, they're going to want to elevate their standard because their money will go further here, meaning that they can, what they could get for $500,000 in New York would pale in comparison to what you can get for $500,000 here in Jamaica. Or they're going to, I think this is the third point that I was going to make, that they are going to drive demand, that they're going to drive demand for raising that standard, right? So you're moving here, coming at the same, you're moving here to elevate. Sorry, the third point. I just remember my third point. The third point, not drive demand, but you're moving here to because you have the confidence that the potential to live a better quality of life is much higher here in Jamaica than it is where in Canada or United States or UK. And that's what I personally believe. I believe that the opportunity for upward mobility in Jamaica is much greater than, I'll say, the United States, because that's where I'm from, United States, right? And so I think those are the 3 main driving factors. And so as you come in with these demands, and I don't mean it in a negative way, I actually mean this in a very, very, very positive way. And especially and I say this too, if you're going to start a business here, it shouldn't be, for lack of a better term, it shouldn't be like you're trying a thing. I hope that you are coming in with the same standard that, if you're going to be opening a restaurant, right? You're going to bring it to Negril, and you're coming from New York. I hope that your idea of starting this restaurant in Negril is of the standard of New York, right? And it's important I think, to maintain that mindset and to maintain that level of competitiveness, because, man, you're going to be so much more impactful. And kind of going to the point that I was saying about having I think a greater opportunity of upward economic mobility here in Jamaica than other places, is that the impact of your business, of you starting a business here, is going to be immense. And I can speak for Negril, and I'm sure that there are many towns that are even smaller than Negril, maybe even larger than Negril, that you will be very impactful as well. And you look at, and it also speaks to the demand for these things and for these new restaurants and for these new businesses. you look at SIDS on the Rocks, right? So SIDS on the Rocks is Coral Seas. I'm going to bring it up here. So we're back on our map. We're going West End. Coral Seas, now known as the West, right? And so SIDS, that is not it. There we go. This is SIDS right here. All right. So Throp-X 2023, we did a real estate tour. Part of the Negril real estate tour, we visited Coral Seas at the time, and a bunch of people who were at the conference, they decided to purchase collectively, use their resources and purchase this hotel that was going for $3 million US. And the 30 people decided to split it. A bunch of people bought singular units, multiple units, and they acquired the property. And one of the people who bought into this was Sydney Watson. And she also got the restaurant, at least a restaurant. It did not look like this. And this is Sid, and she started SIDS on the Rocks. Beautiful place, overlooking the sea, overlooking the cliff, beautiful sunsets, highly recommend. And within a very, very short period of time, she has had just an immense impact on the Negril dining experience. In business, in the business landscape and timeline, she did this overnight. And I'm not saying that in a sense that this was easy for her. I know the trials and tribulations that she has gone through to make this happen, to make it so beautiful, to have the quality of food that she has, the drinks, et cetera, et cetera. And this is one person, and she has having a very, 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 very big impact on the Negril community, on the vacation community, people who are visiting. And I think this is just such a good example for you all out there, entrepreneurs or people who are considering to be entrepreneurs in Jamaica. And I know I'm talking about Negril, but this goes beyond Negril. This could happen in St. Mary. This could happen in Ochi. This could happen in Montego Bay. And you can do very, 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 very well. I don't know her numbers. But I know she is doing quite well, and the Negril community is supporting her. The secondary point that I want to make with this, with her restaurant, is that as you'll see, as you can see by these pictures, as you can see by these drinks, I hope she doesn't mind me using her restaurant or business as an example. As you can see by these pictures and how it's done, she didn't come in and just, try and experiment. Like, she didn't come in and just was serving jerk chicken and rice and peas, right? Nothing against jerk chicken and rice and peas. I have jerk chicken and rice and peas probably every single day. I love it. I mean, if you go down to the restaurant and you ask anybody at the restaurant right now here, travelers, what do you think Throp is going to have for lunch? They're going to tell you jerk chicken, rice and peas, and plantain. So nothing against that. Well, my point here is that she came with a different flavor, something that wasn't new. She did, I believe it's Puerto Rican, Jamaican fusion, if I'm not mistaken. But the aesthetic, the style, the ambiance, the drinks, it's different from what's existing here. And I would continue to encourage entrepreneurs and people who are starting businesses. And I'm not saying everybody has to be a restaurant, but another example, another idea. Very, very unfortunately, the Montego Bay movie theater, I forget the name of it, it's shut down. So I believe the closest movie theater for us here in Negril is Ocho Rios. And so me and my brothers, we love movies. We especially love Marvel movies. And we will take that hour-and-a-half drive to the multiplex in Montego Bay to go see Spider-Man or go see The Odyssey. But we can't do that now. It just doesn't exist. And going to Ochi is just it's just not an option. When I was in New York for Throp-X Connect NYC, I went with my mother and I saw Spider-Man and I saw The Odyssey Friday and Sunday. And it was great to do that with my mom, but I also knew this is the probably the only opportunity for the rest of the year that I'll be able to see these movies. I'm a huge Marvel fan. Doomsday is coming out December 18th, and I'm going to have to fly somewhere to watch that movie, and it's just, well, that's not true. I don't have to fly somewhere. I mean, I guess I could make a weekend out of it and stay in Kingston. But I no longer have the option of having a night out here in Western Jamaica to see a movie. I'm not going to drive to Ochi to see a movie and then drive back to Negril. It's ridiculous. I'm a big Marvel fan, but not that big a fan. So long story short, I think that is a great opportunity for somebody. I have no idea the numbers, the metrics, the profitability of a movie theater, but I can tell, or for that matter, why the movie theater in Montego Bay failed. That's probably a better question to ask more than anything else. But I will say the demand is there. I don't necessarily know if it would work in Negril. Maybe it would be better in Savlamar. I'm not sure, but it's worth doing, in my opinion, it's worth doing some market research and kind of understanding what the market demand is to do something like that. And there are many, many businesses. We've talked about laundry businesses here, but my whole point in bringing all this up and kind of going down this tangent is that you, the diaspora, like, you have so much experience and you have your standards. And I don't think you should be dropping your standards when you come here and like, oh, it's Jamaica. Maybe on some things like that, I would say, it's not worth frustrating yourself on some things, but there are things that you can change and you can have an impact. And so as everybody, you go along your own Jamaica journey, achieving your Jamaica dream, whatever that may look like for you and whatever your relationship you see having with Jamaica, is this like, man, you're going to have an impact here and you're going to make a difference one way or another, especially for the folks who are going to be working here. And I'm speaking about, particularly like millennials. And I'm not saying that you can't work here or start businesses if you are in the boomer generation or Generation X. Not at all. You have the most experience out of all of those generations that I just spoke about. And so there is a lot of value to be brought, I think, by the Jamaican diaspora, tons and tons and tons of value. And I personally believe that you can really, and you individually, but also being part of the diaspora, you can really accelerate how fast Jamaica grows and just how much money comes into the system and into the economy. Is because it's like, where else are we going to get this money from to build a country, right? We need outside investment. I mean, bottom line, we're not producing as a country at a rate that can get us, I wouldn't say we're in a situation, but to get us to where we want to go as a country and to help us reach our potential. It's going to take outside help. It's going to take outside investment. And I really think Jamaica is a viable option to consider as an investor, as an individual investor, or if you're part of some sort of private equity group and have access to those eyeballs and considerations. Man, I think it's just a beautiful time to be considering Jamaica as an option to invest. All right, let's get to some comments here, and then we'll get back to the discussion. Trisha, what's going on? Good day, Throp and Throppers. I'll be moving back home in October. I'm counting the days. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Huge congratulations to you. I met somebody, I won't say their name, at I met somebody at Throp-X NYC who's moving in January. Will be moving here in January, which is awesome. They've been working on it for some time. I believe they're retiring here. And then also I met somebody at Throp-X London Connect last month that is going to be moving here this year, as a matter of fact. I think it's great. I think this is so great. I don't know if you want to share or if you're open to sharing, Trisha, but what part of Jamaica will you be moving? I was also speaking with somebody this morning when I came in from my swim. I also want to talk about that as well. I was like, I remember I was swimming last week. All right, I'll talk about that in a second. And I think that was it next year. I can't remember. They're trying to move here relatively soon, and they were, and I was asking them, like, "Oh, are you planning to move to Negril?" And there's like, they're not sure. And so I've given this advice before as well, and if you and she's non-Jamaican, but this also goes for if you are Jamaican, whether you were born here and you moved abroad and you're moving back, or you're first generation Canadian, you English, US, right? Jamaica has changed. And I think there are, yes, Jamaica is Jamaica, but there are so many nuanced aspects of living in different parts of the island. And I think that's the beauty of Jamaica, is that there are so many different ways that you can do Jamaica. And if you want to live in the mountains, we have that. I mean, that's a completely different experience. I think it's a beautiful experience. You want to live on a farm, you can do that. I'll buy a piece of farmland and live on the mountain. Excuse me. Maybe you're a beach person. This lady in particular, she was a beach person and she wanted to be in the beach. You can do that as well. If you want to be in a city and you want the hustle and bustle, of course, there's Kingston, there's Montego Bay. And if you want cooler temperatures, you can be in Mandeville. But my point in saying this is that don't feel as if you have to commit right away to a township or a community or village, whatever have you. Don't, or maybe you have land already and you're using that to your advantage. But my point in saying this is that you have the ability to rent in Montego Bay for 3 months or 6 months, rent in Ochi for 3 months or 6 months, do that in St. Mary, go to Port Antonio, be out there for 8 months. And we live in, and it's just such a beautiful timeline to do this, right? Because I don't think, no, 20 years ago, there's not many of us who could be of working age and be living in a different location or be able to make their money remotely. Very, very few people. We're in 2026, and many people have the ability to do that. And so my point in bringing this up is, like, don't feel as if you are constrained to making a decision where you have to find a piece of land so you can start building your house, or you have to buy in a development in Ochi or Kingston or Montego Bay, wherever have you. If you are not on a strict timeline, feel free to pop around. And I think that's like a great strategy, so you don't necessarily have to commit or have a situation where you have buyer's remorse and, oh man, you didn't think the community was going to be like this, or you thought there was going to be more amenities, whatever have you. And it's also a beautiful way to really understand modern day Jamaica, at least where it is right now, 2026, or in the near future. And then you can make an incredibly lived and informed decision. And you, or maybe along your journey, you just find your heart is just drawn to Port Antonio for whatever reason. And you don't have to explain that to anybody. And that is your piece of heaven. And you don't want to be anywhere in Jamaica, anywhere else in Jamaica. You can visit. You know, Jamaica is not a huge island and you can go to different places. But for whatever reason, Port Antonio has your heart, and that's where you want to set up shop. You buy your land, or I don't know of any developments in Port Antonio, but I'm sure there are. And that's where you want to set things up for yourself, and go ahead and do that. So don't feel as if you have to make this, you have to live in some area. And that was the conversation that I was having with someone this morning. But very, very excited for her ultimately. Very, very excited for her ultimately. And so going back to the beach situation that I was alluding to before, and just my swim that I had last week, I decided, like, I'm going to start just going in the water more and start swimming more here in Negril. Not saying this to make anybody jealous or anything like that, but it is just, I try not to take for granted where I live, and I try not to take for granted that I have the beach, stone's throw away. And it's just like, it just been a way for me to just show gratitude and just like be grateful for being here, just by participating and engaging in the natural environment here. And I just feel and felt, even this morning on the swim, just like felt so lucky to be able to do that on a daily basis. And I'm going to try to do that. And I look forward to that for so many of you as well. And maybe that's not the sea for you. Maybe it's going out and picking a mango in the morning, or tending to your farm, or catching up with your neighbor on their porch. And I just think this is like, man, it's just so amazing that many of you, like, you're on your path to have that be a reality for yourself. And for me here in Negril, having access to be in the water, and I love the water. I just kind of just reflecting. And anyway, wanted to share that with you. And again, I want that for you all. Your version of that, maybe it's just waking up in the mountains and appreciating the view, wherever that is for you. All right, let's keep rolling here. Melanin says, my dad used to go off in the NCB Linstead branch, and over the years they had to get it together. Man, see, sometimes that's what it takes, that's what it takes. Kuya says, this is brilliant initiative, Throp. I love it. Thank you. Kaido says, hola, Throp. ¿Qué tal? Do you think that it's necessary to live in Jamaica full-time as a business owner? Oh, man. Good question. Great question. I would say it depends on the business. It also depends on the maturity of the business, right? And so let's take the hotel industry, for example. This is just what I know. And I look at large hotels, and I look at even small hotels that are in my category, 60, 70, 100 rooms here in Jamaica, here in Negril, here in Jamaica. And we as a hotel group, we aspire to get to a point where we don't necessarily have to be involved in the day-to-day. But that takes time, to build out systems, to build a strong, trustworthy, capable team. And if you even take, you take Sandals, for example, or even anyone like a Reef, Iberostar. These are huge, ginormous multinational companies, right? And they have obviously figured out the owners of those hotels don't have to be there day in, day out, right? And they have the management and the structure in place that allows them to be profitable. I'm assuming very, very profitable businesses in their own rights. And so there is a way to do it. And I feel as if a hotel is probably, I was going to say more complicated than your average business, but who am I to say? But, it's not running a restaurant, because a hotel is 24/7 and many times has a restaurant attached to it as well. Multiple departments, multiple leaders. So I think it's very possible. I think it's possible, but it really depends on where your business is in terms of its maturity, in terms of its leadership, training, et cetera, et cetera. Possible, but probably not advisable, especially in the beginning. Donna Bright says, Throp, I agree with the points you made, but the storming the banks with tiki torches had me laughing. Might be what it takes. I don't know what's going to happen, but the banking situation here at some point has to turn around. But I think it's going to take the people to make and push the turnaround. Kwani says the Cooper's Pen squatter eviction saga speaks volumes about the risk of purchasing land in Jamaica. Why would anyone in Jamaican diaspora want to invest in property only to endure a legal battle? I think that's a fair point. And it's like, but it's like the people who are against, are for the squatters staying there. Like this is the train of thought that you create, and imagine they didn't win the case, and imagine that those folks got to stay on that property and they stole the property from the rightful owner. What would that say about us as a society, as supposed to be a law-abiding society? Good point. I mean, I'm thankful that that's not the situation, and I don't feel that that is the case. But, people are thinking along these lines that you can just go and just take something that's not yours. Shouldn't be the case. Kaido says, what were the trials and tribulations that Sid went through with the restaurant staff, contractors? So I'll tell you the little bit that I know, and I don't think Sid would mind me sharing this because I can personally relate with everything that she's gone through. I mean, at the end of the day, she's running a restaurant, right? I don't know how many restaurateurs are out there, are people who ran restaurants or been in the restaurant industry. I can tell you, it's the hardest part about running Travelers is our restaurant, without a doubt. Hardest part about the hotel business is the restaurant business. It is one of those businesses that you just have to be on it. And if you just take your foot off the gas pedal, even for a second, things will fall apart so quickly. My friend owns Millie's. It's a new restaurant. I just went there for the first time physically. I'm going to you can't see it. Sorry. Let me see if we can go to their website. So this is Millie's. Let's see. That's my boy Ronnie right there. And he owns it. This is like the new, I'm trying to get a picture of the property of the restaurant. So this kind of gives you an idea of like what the aesthetic looks like. So this is like one of the new hot spots in Brooklyn. Visited it for the first time in New York last weekend. Beautiful spot. Again, one of the hottest places. But, he's there all the time. I showed up just when he was closing. It was 10 o'clock, and he's there at the restaurant he's telling me he's doing very well, feels very lucky. He's humbled by the whole situation. But running a restaurant it's one of the hardest, it's one of the hardest types of businesses to run because there are just so many variables. And doing that here in Jamaica is has its own challenges, right? And you're just trying to figure it out with team members. Obviously, you have a new menu, you have a new chef, and then on top of that, this is what I can relate to both Sydney and also Ronnie, my friend in Brooklyn who runs Millie's. I would highly recommend if you're in the Brooklyn area, New York City area, well worth your time stopping in there for a drink or having a meal. But they went through construction, redesign. And so they had that. And let's get back to Sydney here. And I know any construction project, you're going to have your challenges with contractors and a lot of the material design decor that she had to ship in. And I know that comes with its own headache. So Kaido, I thank you for the opportunity for just reminding people that sometimes your plans here are not going to be straight and narrow, and it's important to maintain mindsets and approach of resilience and persistence. And I always try to remind myself that if so-and-so has done this and has been very successful at doing it, so can I. And where there's a will, there's a way. And it's just like one of these things, you push through, you go through frustration after frustration after frustration. And then eventually you get to a situation where you have a SIDS. And I'm not saying she's riding off into the sunset or anything like that, but man, she's doing exceptionally well. I'm from the outside looking in, and from what she has told me, she's doing very well. And at the end of the day, I'd like to think that the juice is worth the squeeze. And you look at many Jamaican businesses that are doing so well, not just in Negril, but all around the island. And there are many Jamaican entrepreneurs that are doing exceptionally well. And sometimes, especially like when I put out these real estate videos, particularly these luxury real estate videos, these luxury development videos, and a lot of the comments say that how can Jamaicans afford this? How can Jamaicans go and buy this apartment and that apartment. I'm just like, man, I don't think you understand how well some of these Jamaicans are doing. And I'm not saying, and this is Jamaicans abroad aside, if you will. These are Jamaicans who are doing well here. They have their businesses. Many of them, so many of them, female entrepreneurs here in Jamaica that are doing exceptionally well. And I find these comments to be quite disrespectful, to think that especially these young people don't have the potential, earning potential to do well for themselves, well enough to buy into a property. And I'm not saying that everybody can do that, but to say and think that no Jamaican can afford to do that, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I always give the example of, and this is kind of my, albeit a qualitative analysis, observation, I should say, of kind of where things are going, particularly with young people too. And this is just not my observation, but also even other hoteliers' observation. And in the last few years, this is like the most, I would say at a much larger scale, the most amount of young Jamaicans that we are seeing coming and staying at our hotels. I mean, I think that says a lot about the economy. I think it says a lot about many of these young people and what they're doing in their professional careers. A lot of them are young entrepreneurs, young families as well. And this is like a regular thing now. I mean, and I think that it is beautiful and it is great. And we want to see more and more and more of this, is that you're having a lot of young Jamaicans that are coming from Kingston and Ochi and coming to spend their weekend out here in Negril. We also have young entrepreneurs who are living in Kingston, but they have their business requires them to come out here. And when I say their business, like they own their business and they have to come out here and they're staying with us here at Travelers for a week or a few days to conduct their business and go back home because their clients are here. It says a lot about this society, it says a lot about the economy. And again, obviously this is not everybody, but it's a lot of people, a lot of young people, more than I've seen in years past, put it that way. What's going on, Mark? Good day. A little late from Brampton in Canada. Big up Throp and Throppers. Good to have you on, Mark. Always nice to see you. Sten says, good day. Late start. Catching up. Good to have you. She Meets World. Throp, did you know Corner Bar is selling for $1 million US? No, $1 million US? Hold on. Is it listed? Let's see. Please send me if you have anything on that. I'm trying to see. I don't even know how I would find that. So for those that don't know, like Corner Bar is one of the most popular restaurants in Negril. It's literally on the corner where you're starting when you're starting West End. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through to see if I see anything on this real estate website. If you have a link, just throw it in the comment section there. I would love to click it and see what's happening. Nope, didn't know that. Jonah says, I was recently thinking about having a movie theater would be great idea for Negril and or West area. I think the shopping center in West End would be great location, Sunshine Villas. I think so too. I think that's a great great idea. I don't know the numbers of a movie theater. What are the levers that would make a movie theater be financially viable? But the first thing I'm thinking, just with any business, is like you have to have a strategy, a utility strategy, both water and electricity. I think if you're going to make an investment of that nature, you got to go fully solar, batteries included. Have to have a water harvesting system. I also think it has to be like really cool. I don't think an IMAX would work here. I think it's just, oh my God, that wouldn't even make sense. I think the main thing is like, you got to figure out, obviously the ticket price. I don't know what that market would be, right? I don't know in terms of like, would it be 1,000 Jamaican dollars? Is like, is that affordable? Because a movie, you need volume, right? You can't make it unaffordable for the average person, right? I don't know. We'll save it for another time. But I think it's a great idea, Shauna. Trisha, okay, you're moving to Crawford, Black River. Awesome. Congratulations. Rich says, no movie theater. That is wild. I love going to the movies. What a great idea to build one. And the climate is perfect for driving. I think so too. I think drive-in would, I don't know why nobody has tried that. Trisha says, I've been planning the move since 2023. I left when I was 13 and I'm 40 now. Awesome. So happy for you. I turned 40 this year and decided that this was the year to make changes. So I did. Good for you. And there's so many of us, I'm 42, that are in this age bracket that are making this move. And it's like, it's almost becoming like, no, not the majority, but it's a large, I was just kind of just thinking back to the demographics of the last connects that we had. But it's becoming a larger and larger portion of the people who are moving here. And I think that's so great. And man, just, I don't know. I'm excited for you. I don't even know yet, and I'm excited for you. Awesome. Congrats. Kuya says, sure, I moved back 4 years ago, and I love it so much, even though I live in the mountains in the bush in St. Elizabeth. Awesome. Congratulations, Kuya, to you as well. Mr. Info says, maybe Throp can put together some investors and look into opening a movie theater in Mobay or Sav. Not a bad idea. I would not be, I'm going to tell you right now, I could not be the leader of this investment group. I can bring us together, but there has to be somebody who is smart, capable, and has the experience in doing this and even managing the fund. But I couldn't do that. I could bring the people to the table. I would be confident in that. Kuzum Conan says, also moving to Jamaica upon Canadian home sale, want to be in Negril more than anything. Awesome. Wish list of a gated community, gated with pool, seems to be pushing us to the North Coast for rents, costs, advice on spots in Negril. Not a lot of choice in Negril, unfortunately. Not a lot of choice. I'm assuming you're looking for turnkey. It sounds like you're looking for a turnkey solution and that you're not coming in here wanting to buy a piece of land, get an architect, a quantity surveyor, build, and then move in. And most people fit into your category. And I'm making this assumption. Oh no, renting while building. I see. Okay, I stand corrected. You do want to build. Not a lot of choices. There are developments, gated community developments that are in Negril are Little Bay Country Club. I guess I can pull them up on the map. All right, let's go through them real quick. There is where were we? Little Bay Country Club here on Northern Negril. Then there is Aqueducts, which is downtown Negril. Oh, I keep losing my place. Drawing about here. I think this is Aqueducts right here. Right here, this is Aqueducts. Then there is moving east. You have Negril Estate. Negril Estate. Here, this is Negril Estate. And then you have Vista Bella. Hold on, did I confuse them? Yes, I did. So this is Negril Estate, and then right next to it is Vista Bella. And that's about it. There are no more developments in Negril. There is one coming on the west end. I don't want to speak about it prematurely. I'm trying to find out more information, but the signs are up and it seems like there's going to be one there, which is exciting. We need more developments in Negril. We need more housing. This is not just a Negril problem. This is a Jamaica problem. We just don't have enough inventory. We don't have enough inventory, and more houses need to go up like crazy. And it's not really happening at scale or at the rate that is meeting demand. Hence why, at least a big part of the reason why housing prices are at where they are. All right, let's keep rolling. Mr. Info, there are no movie theaters in the western region of Jamaica. Nope, there are not, unfortunately. Spurtree says it's the same thing right here in New York. There's a lot of movie theaters that was about to close or is now downsizing. And you know what they see? They start to implement it. They start to have like bars in the movie theaters and have lounge area where they sell top liquor. Excuse me. And I think that's a good idea. I think that is a good idea because if you just go to the movie theater and just go to hang out by the lounge and drinks, listen to music, watch the type of movie or the screens in the bar, you have finger food. So it's different ways that the movie theaters owners can utilize the space. But what I realize is that it seems like they have torn down the one in Mandeville. They built up a lot of structures and I guess rent different units on the property right now. So I guess that probably brings in more money for them, but at the same time, it's killing the community in a different way. Yeah, you're seeing great point, Spurtree, because a lot of the movie theaters, yeah, they're making it into. I'm just thinking about I don't know if anybody been to the Alamo Theater in not really downtown Brooklyn, maybe Midtown Brooklyn, you can call it, by Prospect Park, and it's like a whole experience. Like you order your food at your table, you press a button, and they will bring you beer. They will bring you a full meal, and the chairs are super wide, super comfortable, and it's a different type of movie going experience. And I think what you're saying here, you're hitting it on the head, Spurtree, is that you have to invest in that way that you make your money in different ways. And that's good thinking, something to consider for those who are looking to start a movie theater here in Western Jamaica. All right. Let's keep going. I was also in Jamaica when Hurricane Melissa struck. This Trisha. And that also put things into perspective for me as well. Oh, wow. And yeah, you're going to be in the heart of it over there. Rasta Pickney says, Jamaican American businessman Denton Douglas is embarking on an ambitious plan to take his boat building business to Jamaica and is prepared to spend $25 million initially to make it a success. I feel, man, I'm almost certain I met this gentleman. I just can't remember where, and he was telling me about tell me about this. It's like a few years ago. Anyway, I think this is phenomenal and very different. Very, 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 very different. But man, a $25 million investment in Jamaica. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We want more. We want more of that. Matique says, what exactly is so bad about the banks in Jamaica, if you don't mind me asking? I don't know if it's just me, but people kind of exaggerate the banking system in Jamaica because they don't use the website, apps, and set appointments. I've never spent more than 30 minutes in a bank. Great question. And I think I am well positioned to answer this question. So the problem with Jamaican banks is it's multifaceted. So let's start with the experience, right? And you have the experience from a consumer experience. And when I say consumer, you are going there to take out money. You're going there to make a deposit. Normal day-to-day. You're going there to the ATM to extract money from the ATM, right? And so I'll speak to here in Negril. Maybe some people can speak to other places. But there are not enough ATM machines in Negril. A lot of times the machines just stop working. And so, unfortunately and very sadly, you have on a Friday evening, you have so many people waiting online in ATM, literally for, I want to say, over an hour or maybe hours, right? That they're waiting online to get money out because Friday is payday. They have things to take care of with their family, and they're just waiting there online for this. You, me, if you're in New York, wherever, I'll say if you're in New York, you don't even think about a strategy to get money from an ATM. You just go, you get your money, and you leave. You don't even think about it. But here, it's just like you plan your day around it. And I think it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Never been to another country, never, of the many, many, many countries that I've been to, I've never been to a place where you have to wait online like you have to wait in Jamaica for an ATM. Unacceptable. Completely, completely unacceptable. Now, you think about what that does to a society, right? That you have, and if you extrapolate this out to the rest of the country, of all these ATMs where you have hundreds, if not thousands of people wasting their time waiting online for an ATM where it should take minutes, but it's taking hours. That is so much lost productivity. Just this, like, compound how many hours that we as a society and working class people have to stand online to wait to extract money out so they can go to the shop and buy rice and chicken to feed their family for Friday night or for Sunday dinner or whatever business that they have to take care of. So from a productivity standpoint, we're losing so much productivity, so much commerce that could be taking place simply because as a society, we've accepted that our members of our society, it's okay for them to wait online at an ATM collectively for hours at a time. Complete waste of human resources and human hours. Complete, first and foremost. Now you go to, even doing business, right? And if you have a cash business, and I'll tell you, I used to do this. I don't do this anymore. And somebody asked me, do you think you need to be in Jamaica earlier? Do you think you need to be in Jamaica as a business owner? When you're starting out, especially a small business, without question, yes. If I didn't, I don't think I was clear on that. Yes, without question. Because when I first moved to Jamaica, I was the one making bank deposits. And I was going down to the bank and depositing in sometimes multiple times per day, multiple times per week, I would have to go make deposits for my company. And as a business owner, and I'm not 15 minutes in and out, I'm hour plus. I'm hour, sometimes multiple hours. And I remember I was calculating like, oh my gosh, I'm spending close to 8 hours per week in the bank. That's a full working day as a business owner, right? And especially being a business owner, a small business owner, maybe you only have an employee or two, and your time is just wasted standing there to make a deposit. Man, what else could you be doing instead? I will say, to your point, Matik, that it has gotten better in terms of your options of doing digital transactions. A lot of times now we do, if I'm doing transfers between accounts, I could do that on my phone. Approval if we're doing foreign exchange, I think that is great. I think that's great. That really, really great. And even if I'm, paying my rent, or if I am paying back somebody, I can do it or paying somebody, I'm doing an account to account. I don't necessarily have to write a check. So there is efficiencies that have happened without question that I do appreciate. But nonetheless, I don't think anybody here, I don't know of many people that they're saying that their banking experience in Jamaica is wonderful and is top class. I don't know a lot of people who can say that. And then you get to, and I'm not saying that this is necessarily the bank's fault, but this is the banking experience. And if you want to open an account, sometimes it's not the easiest thing. We were having this discussion yesterday at the Throp-X think tank, and that, they're asking for, your left arm in terms of like information. And, forget about it if you're getting a loan. And I'm not saying this to discourage anybody here. Again, going back to the frame of mind that I would like you to have in doing business here. If so-and-so can do it, if that business can do it and they're successful in doing it, they're doing it exceptionally well, resilience and perseverance. You will get through it. It's annoying. It's not what you're used to. And there's a better way, a more efficient way, because you've experienced it in being in New York, in Florida, in Canada, in Toronto. And you question, like, why are you asking me for all this information that you feel is completely unnecessary? And a lot of it is unnecessary, in my opinion. And why I say that sometimes they can't be blamed 100% for this is because a lot of this is being pushed by the United States in terms of, pushed by the United States, but then also we have a anti-money laundering act here in Jamaica, and there are extra loops and hoops that you have to jump through and the bank has to jump through in order to make sure everything is on the up and up. And there are a lot of extra steps with this, and it is just very, 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 very annoying. All right, so these are just some of the examples of why I feel that the banking experience in Jamaica overall is extremely subpar. I'm not blaming the people who work in the bank, although sometimes they do cause this, but it's the systemic setup and how it's treated, and the level of acceptance of what I think is poor, slow service, and then also just, again, not enough ATMs that causes, on a Friday evening, people just standing in line for hours at a time, right? And then on top of that, which is like the insult to injury in all of this, is the charges. They charge you for everything. They charge you, I don't know if this is the exact number, but let's say 25 Jamaican cents for taking money out of your own account at their ATM. And then at the end of the year, when they talk about what they did in the fourth or the beginning of next year, when they talk about and they give the financial report for the previous year, they're going to have these record profits, and they're going to have made all this money on the backs of the Jamaican people. And there is, in my opinion, very little to show for what they have given back in terms of the service to people, And of course, I'm generalizing. I'm generalizing here. I'm not pointing my finger at one specific bank, but this is overall the banking experience. And again, I'm not saying this to discourage you or anything like that. Where there's a will, there's a way. You got to work within the system. There's ways to figure it out. I've kind of given out different strategies, if you will, to kind of work around / cope with these situations. But I do think at some point we're going to have to get better as a society and have a better banking experience for businesses, for the people of Jamaica. But right now, it just kind of is what it is. And I know I've complained a lot, but you ask the question, I'm going to tell it like it is from my own experience. Hope that has brought you some context there, Matik. Thanks for the question. Let's keep rolling here. Diane says, hey, Throp, in the UK, we have apart hotels where there is no wet area / restaurant. This makes guests go out and explore local business, therefore spreading the love around, something to consider for travelers. I'm not sure if I understand that, but I think what you're saying that it's good for people to explore the surrounding areas and spread the love by staying at hotels, and absolutely agree with that. And I think that the experience that you have, like, and how people, in my opinion, how people fall in love with Jamaica is not by staying in the four walls of Travelers or Negril. And we very much encourage our guests to go out and explore Negril. There are so many great, amazing restaurants up and down this beach. We talked about SIDS on the rocks at length here, and we have a handful of coffee shops, but jerk chicken stands. Then there's also the excursions, and to me, it's just getting this well-rounded, holistic, authentic Negril experience. That's what people fall in love with. And I'm not saying that they don't love. We have so many people who love their experience at Travelers, who love our team members, who love our food, who love the rooms, all of that those great things about the hotel and the product that we have here that we're very, very proud of. But at the same time, getting the full Negril experience is what really keeps people coming back year after year after year. We have this couple and their daughter from Italy. They've been coming and staying with us here at Travelers for over 20 years. And their daughter, oh man, I've known her but when she was in her mother's stomach and coming here. And now to see her in her 20s, it's just like, I can't even believe it. But there's so many people who fall in love with Jamaica, who fall in love with Negril, who fall in that category. And it's, yes, Travelers or whatever hotel that you stay at is the base of that for sure. And that's your home. And like they feel like family, they truly, truly, truly feel like family. And this is their second home. This is their home away from Italy. And that experience is, I don't think they would have felt that way if they've never left Travelers, or they wouldn't feel so compelled to continue to come back to Jamaica if they've never left here, because they're getting this authentic experience that's, you may not get at other types of accommodations. And there are many hotels that I'm sure they have guests just like that. Conan says, preach, brother, the bigotry of low expectations is out of control everywhere. Saying it's difficult for Jamaicans is disrespectful and plays down the hustlers all over Jamrock. There you go. Donna Rice's dinner and movie package might work. I think so too. Twaja says, regarding the observation of many young people traveling, I would like to note that while they have good jobs / income, a large majority of them still living at home or with roommates to afford traveling. Yes, and also thank you for being a channel member. I appreciate that. Sure. And I don't know what I don't know what their situation is. Maybe someone, I'm sure some of them are homeowners. We did an article. I remember reading an article here. I think it was 2022, 2023, talking about, let me see if I can bring it up. Talking about how home ownership in Jamaica by young people has like doubled in the last however many years. I'm trying to find the article, but I promise I'm not making this up. Anyway, we'll leave that for another time. But yeah, it could be. Could be living at home and could be doing that. I'm sure a lot of people fit into that category. But at the end of the day, we love seeing it. We love to have them. Sean said the movie theater can be used as a multi-purpose, meaning private screening events, etc., in order to create multiple streams of income. Great idea. Who Am I says, I'm seeking to buy some idle land in downtown Kingston. So many idle lands and idle buildings in downtown Kingston. Overbuilding shall make Jamaica look like Haiti. There are tons of land and real estate opportunity in downtown Kingston. Tons and tons and tons. Queen Victoria says, I see that St. Ann is developing pretty nicely, thinking about purchasing from that Cayman Islands. Yeah, St. Ann is like pretty much the hotspot in Jamaica right now, real estate wise. Quandi says, arriving in Kingston and traveling through downtown and then uptown was very depressing. I cannot understand why the government has not established and maintained attractive tourism corridors. I think, well, like I was saying before, I think there's massive opportunity in downtown Kingston, massive opportunity. And I think they have big plans for downtown Kingston on the waterfront. Naturally beautiful, extremely naturally beautiful. Underground utilities at Vista Bella look lovely for our build. Yes, that's one thing that is very unique about Vista Bella is that the electricity is all underground. I think it's amazing. All right, let's get through last few comments here. Who am I says we need to have cash back in Jamaican supermarkets? No, not all. No, that's not true. The major ones you don't, but I'm sure the mom and pop supermarket, they don't have, some of them might not have credit card machines in communities. Downtown Kingston, Jamaica needs some high-rise apartments and a boat marina and cruise ship pier. Freedom Media says the banks in Jamaica are designed to stay the way they are because of you know what. Read between the lines. No, tell me. What do you mean by that? I'd like to know. VMBS smooth transaction, very little wait. All the others, ugh. The wait is discouraging, expected, but annoying nonetheless. So I mean, I work with VMBS, as many of you may know, and I can tell, like, and I continue to recommend them, and because of what you're saying here, and yeah, it's just, I work with them even when they come, and if you come to our Throp-X and you open up your bank account with VMBS, you do it right on the spot here at on conference property at Travelers. And you don't have to go to Sav or Montego Bay or wherever to go into their office, but they do have some of the best service, you know, to be honest. They in my experience, and then also in my recommendations and getting feedback from people who I've recommended to go to a mortgage officer or a business officer at VMBS. What I also will also say, it's just like, you know, sometimes you don't. So we don't have VMBS here in Negril, right? And you're going to need to open that second account. You're going to need to have another bank account. And I know people, maybe you're in New York and you're just Chase. All you have is a Chase account. You can't operate like that in Jamaica, my opinion. We have we bank with many different banks here, you know, and I think it's a smart strategy to do so because ain't no bank here perfect. I'll tell you that. I personally believe, and I say this again, I think VMBS is among, if not the best. And this is just not my opinion. This is another opinion of somebody here in the comment section. And they have probably the top tier service in Jamaica right now. I really believe that. And I don't think you can go wrong with them. And that's just, I'm being as objective as I possibly can. And go and experience it for yourself. They do a great job. Donna Bryce says, I know someone in Kingston that provided all 12 documents requested by NCB for her car loan. And after 6 weeks of following up, she was declined. Reason, she provided too much information. Oh my gosh. Sorry to hear that. Sorry to laugh too. That's crazy. Jewel says, what do you do when all the docs are given and still waiting 6 years to reactivate your account? Grease to palm. I'm still waiting. I don't even know what to tell you. What bank is that? I mean, you just got to, I don't know. You got to go higher up. And that's easy for me to say. I don't know what your experience or what you have gone through. Like, that seems absolutely outrageous and ridiculous. That's crazy. What bank is that? Then it says, Throp, you were stating how challenging it is running your restaurant. Yep. I think running a restaurant anywhere it's a tough one. Rich says, I heard the same thing about how the U.S. driving the banking practices. I can't help but think that is steeped in racism because money laundering is an issue everywhere, i.e. Canada and the United States. Yeah, it can be challenging because they're dictating a lot. Big reason why, big reason why, like, cannabis hasn't been like fully legalized here in that way, because it's like, man, we don't want to be considered like a narco state. You know what I'm saying? And like that threat has been thrown around. Rich says, Throp, I stayed at Travelers May 19th to 24th. When it comes to service, your team is top notch. Thank you very much. From the email. Sorry about that. Sorry. Are we back? Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I forgot we're on JPS. I mean, we're on our generator and JPS just came back. So that's what that's about. They were upgrading the lines this morning, doing something. And so Negril has been without power since I think like 6:30 this morning. But luckily we have, fortunately we have a generator here at Travelers. So I think they just switched back. But thank you for the compliment, Rich. Appreciate it. I'm glad you had a great time. Looking forward to welcoming you back. Ronnie Blake says, hi all from T-Dot, watching Jays Yankees game here. We'll have to check back later, probably back in the grill for the third time this year during Throp-X. Awesome. Looking forward to welcoming you there. The only time that I've seen the Yankees play was at Rogers Stadium multiple times. I'm not even a Yankees fan, but playing the Jays. Grant says Jamaican bank stuck in the 90s. Donna Bryce says downtown Kingston slowly upgrading. That's why ROK, or Rock Hotel, stands for Resilience of Kingston. There you go. Kwani says, I must say your show today was very interactive, unbiased, and informative. Great job. Thank you very much, Kwani. Appreciate it. Who am I says plenty of real estate opportunity on Harbor Street. Ronnie Blake says, hey, former bank employee here. All depends which employee you deal with at which bank can make a big difference too. Agreed. So the pause also goes to say that the internet infrastructure could use a lot of improvements. I mean, all right, the power went out, so you can kill me for that. Sorry, I'm eating Skittles, but I need some energy. I mean, I'll say the internet here isn't, I mean, isn't so bad when it's working. You like, maybe not obviously. We have like a 3-tiered system where we have Flow, we have Digicel, and we have Starlink. So yeah, I mean, I guess if you look at it that way, like you don't need, why should you need 3 different services kind of thing? So I guess that's fair. But I would tell you, it's pretty fast. Let me show you. Let's see if we could show you. What do you think about that? Just did a speech test. I'll do it again, so you can see it for yourself live. That's your download. Let's see what the upload speed is. 80 megabytes per second. I don't know if anybody's on a computer or maybe your phone. What are you getting where you are? What kind of upload and download speed are you getting? Megabytes per second. I know this is faster here in Jamaica than I get when I'm in New York. Maybe it's the part of New York that I stay or wherever. I don't know. But I'd like to hear what you get as far as internet speeds, uploads and downloads. And again, it's pretty consistent for the most part, I feel. Let me know. Interested to hear what you guys are experiencing. Chris says, I have a VM account. They offer above average service in Jamaica. My hope is that this attracts accounts from other institutions. Then perhaps service and service fees will be more in line with the world. Great. Awesome. Another satisfied customer. Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Chris. Despite the unique challenge adjusting to Jamaica, I'm still happy with my choice living here. It has improved. It has improved my quality of life in many ways that money can't buy. As a reframe, you'll learn a new version of yourself. Awesome. Good to hear, Shauna. Thank you for sharing that. Georgina says, VMBS used to go to schools and open up my accounts for kids and parents. My mom was able to reinstate her account recently after more than 30 years, and I'll do the same soon. They do have the best customer care. Awesome. See? Good to know. I stand corrected. Electricity and internet need ongoing improvements. Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with that. That's what they were doing this morning for sure. And even what would I say? Even they've gotten a lot better. And I've said this before. I remember electricity used to go out so regular here when I first moved to Negril and obviously running a business. And it was one of the worst things running a hotel. And we didn't have a generator back then. It was one of the worst things running a hotel that didn't have a generator and the power goes out. And sometimes it'll be days, and sometimes regularly many hours. And I could tell you, this is a new JPS. It's night and day from when I started working. So when I started moving here and working here at Travelers. And so progress is being made for sure. Quantity says, after landing in Normandy International and arriving through Kingston, I was saddened by the condition of the corridor and wondered why government had not prioritized its improvements. I'm not sure, but I think a lot of that, I'm assuming you mean road improvement. I think a lot of that is coming, and as I said before, it can't come fast enough. Speed test upload 235. Ooh, that is lightning speed, lightning fast. Get those Skittles. Thank you. I have VMBS and JMMB. I'm very happy with both of them. I think that's where you got to do it. You got to have multiple institutions do what works for you. Michael Gordon says, thanks for always updating us on the in the diaspora. I feel like I'm late with my savings to survive in Jamaica to do business. Not at all. Not at all. I don't think it's ever too late. I think there is so much opportunity here business wise. I said this before, there's just not enough competition in Jamaica. There's not enough competition in the market, and it needs it. It definitely needs it. I'll open my VM here in Florida. Seems good. I know they have a branch in Brooklyn, in New York, that they opened up last year. And that you can do the same thing, which I think is great. That's VM. Chris says, "Oops, 166 upload, 235 download. Damn, that's really fast." Gary says 180 BPMs, Durham, North Carolina. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm very satisfied with 80. You know, I think it's great. I mean, and you guys are really up there. That's fantastic. I would love to get those speeds here. I guess we'd have to pay for it if we wanted more. Alfonso, what's going on, man? Throp, what's up? I think after NARA implementation to Diaspora, we will flood Jamaica. You know, and that's such an interesting, I mean, that's going to be a very interesting time. The roads and health sector will be top quality. Yeah, then I said this before, if they do what they say they're going to do in the timeline that they're going to do it, forget about it. Forget about it. Like, then it's going to, I mean, I would hope and would love for it to be a situation where it's like this reverse brain drain that's happening in Jamaica. All right. I think we're going to leave the stream right there. This was really good. I appreciate everybody coming on the stream on Sunday. Just a few last announcements before we head out. Thank you. Somebody asked me about Throp-X. When is Throp-X coming to Florida? It was supposed to be this year, but we're actually going to be doing it next year. Sorry, we're not going to make it happen. We're going to do Throp-X Fort Lauderdale. I think that's what it's going to be. That's where it's going to be, I should say, in Florida. It's going to be in South Florida. So, a couple announcements. We have 2 streams coming up this week. We have Tuesday. We are having Ross IV. We're doing, I believe it's a 6-series episode of live streams with him. We'll definitely put out a post, and we'll actually put it in an email as well. Would love for you all to be there live, ask him questions, and he is super excited about it. I don't think I have. All right, I will play. Let me see if I can. Oh, man, we're supposed to watch this Montego Bay bypass video. You know what? Sorry, let's watch this real quick. Hold on. I actually want to watch this. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Stop sharing screen. Let's share. Yeah, I wanted to watch this. All right. Let me know if you could hear this. Wait, sorry. Let me know if you could hear this video. We're not going to watch it. We're going to skip through because I haven't watched this. I haven't seen this either. Oops, hold on 1 second. Let's see if we can. I don't think we really need the sound, but and so this is Island Max. If you don't know him, he makes great videos on just different updates about different things happening around the island, and he's been doing a lot on the Montego Bay area. Let's see if I can get the sound to work through. Okay, let me know if you could hear this.
Montego Bay is indeed rising.
Are you guys hearing that? Him talking, Island Max. Shoot. 1 second. Let's play this a little bit. Let me know if you could hear him talking.
Here, whoa, so all of this they're gonna have to dig down.
Again.
They're smoothing out the paved surface there. Of course, overseen, all of this is overseen by the National Road Operating and Constructing Company. To the Montego River Bridge, Jamaica's longest bridge. We're just outside the Corner Courts Green Pond side of the Montego Bay perimeter.
Go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Want to see just how far they've reached with the construction here. This is the underpass that we're going under. We're going to make the right turn and we're going straight to see just how far they've reached. We're going straight into the Fairfield end of it. That's where the Montego Bay bypass will end. All right, so let's travel onwards to Fairfield, Bogue area. We're heading in that direction, seeing how far they've reached with the construction. Again, they've been pushing back the deadlines. They've been pushing back the deadlines. It looks like it's going to be early 2027, but they're moving quickly.
That's what I figured.
It's dry now, so the rain is not an issue with slowing down the construction progress. So all of this area here in Cornwall Courts has been paved.
Wow, it looks amazing.
Look at the view.
Man, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Way up in the hills there, that's the Long Hill bypass there.
Oh, I thought this was okay.
Constructed.
Gotcha. Okay.
Wow. Yeah, man, it's a big progress. I mean, any deadline they set after this, they should be able to meet it. Just a few finishing touches left to be done. Yeah, man, who is ready to hit the Montego Bay bypass to get rid of all of that traffic that we've been experiencing in the town center area of Montego Bay, Jamaica? Beautiful. So they're going to be putting in the railings on both sides. Again, it's a 4-lane highway or toll road. So they're going to put in the barriers. The median is already in. As we're going to be passing now through this center cut here. Just lovely.
I'm going to skip through a bit.
So they have the barriers to construct on the left here.
The house is looking really great.
So we are now in the Irwin section. Nice thick layer of asphalt like that. I wish the entire Jamaica had that nice thick layer of asphalt.
Yeah, I tell you. I'm just gonna skip through here a little bit. Just want to get a feel of where things are.
The deck on the left there, they're paving all of that section. The name of this machine. Silky smooth asphalt they're putting down.
Silky smooth, he says. It looks great.
Barriers left to be installed on both sides. Probably TAJ representatives as well. Toll authority. Let's see. But drains have already gone in place, which is a good look. Both sides already paved here. A nice S-shaped corner here. Entrance to the being employed on this project. It's a good look. I mean, persons get able to earn an income the different stages of this project. So it's not just the Chinese who are working, you know, Jamaicans are also employed. Jamaican drivers, contractors, workers, flagmen. Back gate for the back of Montego West Village, right? In Montego Bay. Show you what the gate, the entrance to the Montego West Village looks like. There it is.
Oh, I know where this is.
Nice gated community in Montego Bay.
I don't know if you guys know the really, really, really nice gated community. I have a friend that lives there, and I visited it for the first time earlier this year. Beautiful, beautiful.
So it seems like they're going to be putting in a roundabout now.
Wow.
They'll be putting a roundabout somewhere in this section. From this roundabout, persons will be able to go onto the Long Hill bypass. I'll show you where they're clearing out for the Long Hill bypass. Whole lot of work going on. So they've realigned this the main road here leading to Montego West Village entrance.
What about?
So we've just exited the Montego Bay bypass. We're now heading now to one of the entrances for Bogue Village. We're in the Bogue area. There's also the overpass being constructed in Bogue, just outside the ATL area.
Oh, I think I know where it is.
From Hopewell Lucy side, you will see that construction going on in the Fairview Shopping Center area. So you're gonna see the overpass where they're building in right here outside ATL. We soon head down there. Front of us.
All right, I'm gonna show you where he is.
Right here in Bogue.
All right, so we got that. 1 second. All right, cool. Keep that picture in mind. I'm gonna show you. Oh shoot, sorry, didn't mean to do that. Let's go to maps, just so we know, you know exactly where he is. I think that's. Oh, there we go. Share screen. All right, you guys can see my screen. Yep. Okay. So going over to Montego Bay, and he was in Bogue Village. So just so you know, just to give you a little reference, this is Sanctions International Airport, or Montego Bay Airport, MBJ. And he came out over here. This is Bogue Road. And this is the overpass that he's looking at right here. Let me make sure I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So this is the overpass. This is dead on where we were just looking. This right here is the overpass. He's here in this lane. This is, well, at the time it was cut off. There's a barrier. So he can't drive past here. And this is ATL Automotive here. And he came out through here. Let me make sure I know what I'm talking about. Come through. I believe this is the, yep, here we go. This is Long Hill bypass. I'm assuming this is the dirt road that he came off of. It had that makes the most sense to me. I'm assuming this is where he came off of, that back gate that he came out of. I think this is where he came off, and then this is the highway, obviously much further along in the video, that he drove through, and we can follow it. See if we can follow it all the way back. Boom, boom, boom. Look at that. That's crazy. Look at how big that is. And like, I don't know how many kilometers that is, but that is quite a bit. Quite a bit. There you go. All right, let's get back to his video real quick. Stage. Nope. All right, let's finish up. Can you see that? Nope. There we go. All right, let's finish up. So that was the bypass we saw on the map that you're seeing in front of your screen.
From the highway in front of us.
It's the barrier I was talking about.
Yeah, only trucks use this part here. So it's closed off. All right? So the new road that they're building will go straight across to Freeport. Look at the amount of, listen, when this project is completed, the amount of changes that will take place in Montego Bay, it will be so much easier to do business, get around.
That's right.
And do remember to subscribe. We have more updates, construction updates too.
Thank you, Island Max. Yeah, everybody go subscribe to Island Max. I'm going to put the link to his video in the comment section there. Definitely go subscribe. Good dude updating us. All right, now we can wrap up. I definitely wanted to watch that video because I was saving it for the stream. So let's wrap up here. We got 2 other streams this week. We got Ross IV on Tuesday. I forget what time it is. I think it's 4 o'clock. Hold on. Let me see. I hope it's in my calendar. I'll definitely send out notifications. It says 3 o'clock in my calendar, but I feel like I guess it is 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock Tuesday. That'll be the first of a 6 series episode that we're doing with him. And then on Thursday, we got the 4 p.m. live stream with Dr. Christine Frey-Atkin. And we're talking about sugars and NCDs, definitely diving into it's kind of I don't know if it's I guess it's a bit of a trend with creatine right now. And I want to learn all about these things from her. And I'm very, very excited about it. As many of you already know, I am pretty, I don't know, fitness first person, fitness lifestyle, I don't know what you want to call it. Definitely not a health nut, but looking forward to having those conversations. Of course, as I mentioned, Throp-X is, less than 3 months ago. 3 months ago. And Throp-X, actually 3 months from today, the Sunday, 90 days away, is Throp-X 2026. If you are interested in joining or coming to Throp-X, please go to Throp-X.com. I want more information. Sign up for the newsletter. Love to send you out stuff. We're starting to send out our newsletter more regularly. And I think that's all the announcements that we have. This is a good one. Thank you all for joining. And we'll be back again next Sunday for the regular program. Oh, no, we're not going to be here Sunday. I'm going to be away Sunday. So we're making up for it in a big way. We got 2 streams this week, no stream on Sunday. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And wishing you a great rest of your Sunday. Have a great week ahead. And I hope it's productive for those that are working. We're going to end. What video should we end on? Let's end on, we can end on in our standard rooms. Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, everybody. Peace. Have a great week. Welcome to our newly renovated standard rooms, and this is our standard veranda, our balcony, depending on if you're on the first floor or the second floor. It comes with 2 chairs and a table. And this is our double queen room. And as you can see, we have our standard herring artwork on the walls with an
accent wall and the wooden bed heads, and each bed has a reading lamp, and those reading lamps have USB type A outlets plus a standard outlet on the wall for you to plug in any electronics that you may have. Rooms also come standard with a flat screen television as well as a desk coffee maker / tea maker that you can use in the mornings if you'd like, and you also have coffee and tea available to you as well. And we also have a mini fridge for your convenience. Of course, we are AC room. This is the Throp-X, this is Jamaica, but we also have a ceiling fan for you available as well if you prefer, or you want to use both. And moving on to the bathroom area, I just wanted to point out that all of our standard room doors now are using electronic key cards, which we are very happy about, and just much more easier to use from a hotel logistics standpoint. Moving into the bathroom, this is probably one of our most proudest renovations. Moving into the shower area, we have the rainfall shower head as well as the handheld shower head. And the designer went into the details of putting the shower together with this color schemes, but also the practicality of it. And I just want to highlight some of those, and one of them being the shower drain as well as the shower heads, which you saw, which is all complementing each other. And of course, the shower amenities with this shelf for your convenience towards the back of the shower, and even where the shower faucet is, which is towards the back of the shower, which allows you to turn on the shower without getting wet. Moving on to the sink, it's also a black handle sink, which again just complements the design of the entire shower and bathroom, and it's all coordinated even with the room design. And as you can see, we have the towel hooks as well, which I really appreciate. And that in a nutshell is our newly renovated standard room. I hope you enjoyed it. Throp here again. As you're probably hearing, Jamaica is on an unprecedented economical tear, and I know many people are interested to learn how they might be able to buy property in Jamaica, move here, or even start a business. Enter Throp-X. This is my annual Jamaica Investment Conference hosted at Travelers Beach Resort in Negril, Jamaica. If you're even considering moving to or investing in Jamaica, this is the best low-risk opportunity to do your due diligence and network with the very people driving the country forward. This event brings together a group of hand-picked, trusted, top-of-their-field individuals, the best developers, contractors, real estate pros, lenders, and government partners, all under one roof to help you make your move. This is very much an action-focused premium conference experience geared towards empowering you with the tools and team necessary to create your Jamaica dream. We've partnered with the Tax Administration of Jamaica to help you get your TRN and even open a bank account, all conveniently located on conference property. One of the most popular parts of the conference is the real estate tour. It's the best way to understand Jamaica's real estate market, seeing and experiencing properties firsthand so you can compare apples to apples. Another incredibly valuable part of the conference is the people you will meet. Attendees have been some of the most dynamic, inspiring individuals I have met doing incredible things with their lives. As always, this year will be fun, educational, and actionable, giving you the tools, insights, and connections to invest, build, and move to Jamaica. For more information, please visit Throp-X.com and join our mailing list.